Hey there, welcome back to Executive Summer School. Today we're tackling a topic that quietly eats away at your focus and energy, and that's unclear communications expectations. So here's the thing. Often it's not the volume of communication that's the problem for us. We might think it is, but really it's the vagueness that's killing us. When your team doesn't know what channel to use, when you're going to reply, how to escalate, everything turns into ping pong. But we can actually fix it, right? Communication does not have to be chaotic, right? Most of the stress comes from unclear or mismatched expectations, whether that's the speed, the channel, or the tone. The reality is, most of the time, people don't need or even expect instant replies. Sometimes we feel like we need to reply instantly or we're going to lose the message, right? How many times have somebody said, oh, I had to go ahead and send it, I worried that I was going to forget, right? That's a system problem, right? And we can actually teach people how to treat us. And this is something that perhaps we have to do periodically. You know, I think Coach Lydia pointed out that in this area, we're never done, right? We constantly need to iterate. And so we're going to use a tool today that helps us learn how to effectively iterate in this area, how to set boundaries for ourselves, build clarity, and teach others. So the first thing, and you already have a head start in this, right, is to audit all of your channels. Hopefully you did this on Monday or even Tuesday. You made a note of all the different ways that people could reach you, right? Email. Okay, great. How many inboxes do you have? Do you check them all in one place, or do you have to go to multiple places to check your email? Do you check it on your phone typically or on your computer? Text messages. Do you just have one phone or do you have a couple? Phone calls. Do you have a cell phone and a work phone? Maybe even still a home phone? How can folks get a hold of you? Social media messages. Are you active? Teams, Slack, internal chat, and then project tools that are certainly create communications, but maybe in a really healthy way. All right, so the first thing is to audit. And the big step, you're going to create what we're calling a personal communication policy. And don't worry, I'm going to show you in a minute a sample and a template that you can actually use. We'll show you how to access it, that you can actually use to create your own policy. So some of the examples might be when you're going to check email, how you think about text messages, how you think about asynchronous versus synchronous, and how you want folks to task you. So let's jump in. Let's look at a sample one for an executive leader, right? And they have an effective date, because this might be something that you need to update, I would say at least annually. But if one of your tools or projects changes, you might need to update this even more often. Maybe it's something to think about quarterly, or in a period of rapid change, maybe even monthly, right? And we literally go through each channel and talk about how you want each one, what it's good for, what it's not for, and some parameters around that, right? So what do you want people to send you text messages for? What do you not want them to send you text messages for? I get some grief because I'm fairly firm in sharing my my preferences on text messages. They're those mosquitoes bite me hard, and so I try really hard to personally reduce those, especially work ones that have an expectation of urgency, right? What do you prefer phone calls for? Some people really love phone calls. Some people not so much, right? I've heard people that say, if you get this voicemail message, please hang up and send a text. Okay, great. That's communicating a very clear boundary. Email. You might even need a section for each of your email accounts. You might have different expectations for your personal email versus your work email, right? If you've got internal chat, for us, it's bundled with ClickUp, which is our project management system. So we have chat and our notifications there. And so we've got to share some expectations around that. If you're using Slack or Teams or another chat tool at work, think about that. Again, that project management system, what do you want to use meetings for? Do you have a Calendly link? We're going to start Executive Summer School on the 13th with a lot about meetings and calendaring and being proactive with our time. So if you're doing this course, it's the perfect precursor to that. What are your no-go zones? Where do you turn off, right? For me, my phone goes to do not disturb at 8:30. Unless you're on my favorites list, you're probably not getting through, right? And then a recap on what you want folks to do. So super simple, right? A yes, a no, and a here's the boundary, right? Here's a little bit more information. Here's a template. And if you'll comment, right now these videos are only available on YouTube. So if you'll comment under the YouTube that you would like the template, we'll be sure and get it to you, where you can make a copy, adjust it, fill it in for you, where you can say, here's what it's best for, here's what it's not for, and here's some additional information around that. So super simple. I think you could take 30 minutes and whip out an initial version of this, try it out and see if it fits. And then you have a personal communications policy that you can use. It tells people this is where things should go. This is how often you're going to check it, how to make something a high priority. And so you're eliminating all of those random pings or communications that aren't where you really want them to be. All right, so that was actually just step one, is setting your policy and defining your response rules. Second, and equally important, is to communicate it, right? Don't assume people know your rules. Most folks are not mind readers. And so unless we communicate this, nobody's going to know. So share them, I would say gently, clearly, and consistently. So where are some ways that you can share it? You could actually make this a document. If you've got a personal website or a company website where you can do it, you might even link to this document in your email signature or some version of it that literally tells people this is how I communicate. Or maybe you just put it in the footer of your email signature, right? Whatever it is for you. You might turn on an autoresponder, right? That goes so much as to acknowledge this and proactively tell someone, here's what I'm doing, right? And give them whatever the escalation option is. If it's a phone number for them to call, where somebody's going to answer the phone, if it's another email address that is checked rapidly that you want them to use, we talked about that in Tuesday's lesson. If it's in your Slack or your Teams or your chat status, where you set it to, hey, I'm in focus mode, I'll be back at a certain time, so that folks know if they have a question for you, you'll get back to them at that time. And then the third most important thing, if you're on a team, is to align this with your team, right? To go from just a group of individuals to an actual agreed upon shared culture, right? We're doing this in my businesses now. It's so critical, and there's so much changing with us that we've got to update it so that we know how we work, right? What are your preferred channels? And what are the response times? Where does urgent stuff go? Where does not urgent stuff go? Are vacations and time off safe? Or do you expect people to check, right? If you do, then you should probably be upfront about that. And if you don't, if you want folks to really be able to enjoy their time away, what systems do you have in place, including yourself? What systems do you have in place to actually protect that so that people get downtime? It's not going to happen without intention, right? You've got to normalize things being asynchronous, right? That clients or team members or customers trusting that your system works, and that they're not looking for that instant synchronous reply. All right. So 1, 2, 3 sounds really simple. It kind of is. Doesn't mean it's easy, right? this is challenging, but such a critical step of I would say being successful, and I put it in air quotes because that's however you define it, of being successful in work today is being intentional, being proactive about topics like this. So audit where and how you're reachable. Be clear. If you don't ever check messages on LinkedIn, maybe say that, right? If you don't answer your DMs anywhere, maybe say that. Draft your preferences. So make that personal communication policy. Put it in your signature, put it in your autoresponder. We're doing a How We Work page. If you're interested in that, I'll be happy to share the link. Set expectations with your team, your clients, your collaborators. Make it happen. And I would challenge you to take one action today, to think about your policy, do a first draft, and then think about one boundary that you can set, whether it's a status, whether it's a message. Go ahead and take that action. So today is all about setting your rules for communication. And tomorrow, we're going to recap the whole week and set an action plan around how to lock in your wins in reducing the noise and setting you up for your next level. I'll see you tomorrow.